there! Ho, 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 ho! It's the wonderful Christmas episode of DrawBomb! It's the show that Santa puts on the naughty list every year.
Wow. Now that's an intro.
Isn't it? Thank you. I'm glad
Well
you
done.
agree. Thank you. You didn't see that coming either. I fucking sprung that on you.
You didn't even tell me. Pretend like guys during the intro, pretend like we just like added some jingle bells into it too or something like that.
Yeah, we should have made a seasonal version of the would have been really easy. I have all kinds of sleigh bell samples. I could have easily just like thrown them on, had them like go in time in Ableton. It could have taken like
Don't
2
tell
minutes.
them how easy it is. That makes us look lazy.
Folks, if you have a fucking DAW on your computer, like a digital audio workstation, just like download one and you can make a song in no time. I've seen a bajillion commercials on YouTube going like, yo, it's set from Unison. Yo, if you download my MIDI chord pack, dude, you'll fucking make a song in 3 minutes and you'll get placed in charts, dude. You get those commercials?
That's what everybody wants. No, because they know that I have no ability or knowledge for any of that kind of thing.
It is funny to hear, well, before we go on a tangent, welcome to DrawBomb. This is Ian.
Good to be back.
Welcome back. It's good to be back. It's been a few weeks. It's been a few weeks.
It's been a few weeks, yeah.
It's been a few weeks. We've gone through some life changes.
Oh, what happened to you?
Well, I went out of state for a week, for an event of sorts.
That sounds fun.
I don't know if you want to go into detail about maybe why.
Oh, sure.
I feel like it's this is your bag almost.
I got married.
Oh,
wait.
show the ring.
Wait.
Show the bling.
Pretend like I didn't do that yet. Okay, let me try again.
Wait, do the reverse thing. Do like
I got married. Yeah, so I'm married now.
He's a fucking married boy. Ladies, the door is closed.
Sorry, you missed your chance.
You missed it. Ooh. We got a subscriber. Sorry for the burp.
Leviathan Den.
Leviathan. Oh, there's a big message here.
You just hit 2 years, so this is, worthy of a big message.
It is worthy of a bit. I'll say it. I'll read it out loud, and I'll do it in a dramatic voice.
Go ahead and read it.
I need to readjust the camera. Hold on. This camera is fine. This camera is off. Whatever. Look, it's been 2 years. To say I'm satisfied here is, well, and understatement. I've watched the channel grow.
Don't do them like that.
An understatement. I've watched. It's funnier if I'd read the typos in the dramatic voice. In the dramatic voice, though. I'm just saying it's.
Okay, fair enough. Keep going.
This is no offense to Leviathan. This is no offense to Leviathan, Den. This is just it's funnier if I do it that way. I've watched the channel grow, made lifelong friends, seen the artists and guests perfect their passions, and out there love into this show and their hobbies and careers. Well, career singular. Love you all more than you know. Thank you,
We
Leviathan.
love you, Leviathan Den.
We love you. We're very touched.
Hugs
We
and kisses.
appreciate the hugs and kisses. We appreciate the $60 that has been $30 essentially after Twitch takes their cut. But we appreciate it. It's more money than I think anyone's given us, so I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. Hold the record.
You're essentially our benefactor on the show. We appreciate you. Thank you. You're drawing on Chaps 1. Okay, I need to draw on the right layer if I'm going to be... Anyways, welcome, folks, to another episode of DrawBomb. You got married, Brandon.
I did.
I was out there. I was, yes.
You were in the wedding.
I was in the wedding.
We decided to actually, despite all the court orders, we decided to actually be, near each other.
Broke a few restraining orders.
Yes, exactly. We were in person. It was great. I had an amazing time.
I had a great time.
It was a little inappropriate when you halted the wedding during the whole part where he says, "Does anybody have any like reason that we shouldn't get married?"
Mm-hmm.
But
I had to
I'm
speak
not
my
gonna
mind.
stop you from being you. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
It had to be known that these two were not virgins. They have had premarital sex.
What?
And I had to
Can't
say,
prove that.
no, I can't. I have no proof of that actually. Just airing your laundry. I mean,
if God's listening, he's lying.
Yeah. Hey, big man. It's chill. It's chill. It's chill. Who's not having premarital? I mean, I guess like that one Girl Defined channel on YouTube, maybe.
Hey, if we're not gonna yuck that yum.
We're not yucking yums.
Do your thing. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Know?
Hey, do your fucking relationships how you want. That's up to you. We're not here to judge. I'm the last person to judge. I mean,
no longer dating Morgan. I am now.
That's right. The relation you no longer have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
What's
what's going on?
I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the legs.
I was gonna put the sleigh like
okay.
Type thing.
These are reins. I thought you were doing this. Okay, I am so sorry. You were doing the reins.
No, it's all good.
I thought that was the.
See, guys, a little peek behind the curtain. When you do collaborative drawings, yeah, there's some bumps in the road.
Yeah, you never really know what each other's doing until you know. Oh my god, oh dear, I've messed the microphone up. Okay. I hate my microphone setup so much. Anyways. Yes, you had a wedding. I was out there. We visited you. It was a grand old time. I had a blast. And now we've been gone for a few weeks for a variety of reasons. And we're back. Hello. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's frozen. Great. Guys, I think Brandon lost his connection. We're probably going to hear some well, I'm not going to hear Discord noises, because when OBS is open, Discord doesn't make noises. But that mofo is frozen. Frozen like a beloved Disney movie. As far as I know, my connection's fine, though, so. If it's not one of us, it's the other one who's having the internet connections, so. That's just life. Trying to host an online live stream. So I guess we'll just wait. Top Cat Yo is the one moving and yeah, no, I know. I'm saying Brandon's connection is dropped. And we'll have to see what happens with that. Yep, there he goes. I don't know if you guys heard the sound of the door closing. That is our drawing program letting me know that his connection is gone. Boy, the show really drops off when there's not the other person to sort of bounce off of. Now I'm in his window, as you can see, because I'm just straight up streaming the Discord window. He'll be back, I'm assuming. Unless somebody smashed into, like, the internet box in his local area. In the meantime, I'm just gonna... There's this one hair poking its way up. I did my hair before we started recording. Because I prefer to. Anyways. Narf is lost to the abyss. He sure is. Narf being a beloved character from Pinky and the Brain. No, that's what Pinky says. Is Narf. Oh, he's rejoined. He's rejoined the draw pile. I heard the boxing bell. Has it snowed at all in Ianland? It has snowed, yes. Not a large amount, but there has been snowfall. It's canceled at least one day of school, since my mom's a teacher. I know that it's canceled the day of school for her, at least once. Whoa, Brandon's looking a bit different. Yeah, we did a face-off like the John Travolta Nicolas Cage movie. I am Brandon.
Test. You hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Alright, I'm almost back. I'm in the process of fixing everything.
Dr. Soundcheck just subscribed. This is their 7th month subscribing. Hello.
Wow, these people they're something else. You know that?
They're something else. They we were talking before we started live, like we came on, and I was like, oh, my internet connection's fine. And then,
yeah. I've been having some issues this week. If it drops again, I'll fiddle with it, but I might be all right for the rest of the show. We'll see.
Okay, we'll find out.
I'll look into this, yeah. Real quick, let's see.
Dr. Soundcheck says congratulations, by the way, and I'm assuming it's on the matrimony.
I would assume so. I haven't accomplished much else lately, so it's gotta be that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, wedding was great. I had a blast. I won't go too much into details, but Ian danced his goddamn face off.
I do. If you have a dance floor, and I got nothing else going on, I will dance.
Ian danced all right. Hire him for your parties. If you're ever worried about like the vibe like dying on the dance floor, this man can come in and get things going again.
I do feel like I did bring people to that dance floor.
Certainly did.
Not to speak highly of myself. Accomplished. Thank you.
Well, it's deserved. But yeah, he was grooving out there, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So that's that.
Yeah, you're a married man. Have you had any of that like post-marital like, oh my god, I'm married sort of things that all the TV shows say people have?
Like regret, like you hop in the back of the bus and Hello Darkness, My Old Friend starts playing. Like,
exactly.
And Mrs. Robinson type thing.
Yeah.
No. We've already. I mean, we've been. Yeah, that's what that trope is from.
Ah.
Basically, in the middle of a wedding, Dustin Hoffman breaks in and like calls it off at the last second, and like in the heat of the moment, they're all like,
"Isn't this The Graduate?"
The Graduate. That's what it is. What did I say?
Mrs. Robinson, which is isn't that a Simon and Garfunkel song?
Okay, so in The Graduate, he's in love with this woman named Mrs. Robinson, and the song is from the movie. They did the whole soundtrack, Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, they did the entire soundtrack for that movie.
Yes.
Oh, is that why that song, Hey Mrs. or is that why they named the character at least Mrs. Robinson, or which came first?
I don't know which came first. Okay. A lot of people use the chicken and the egg to just define that. I always say, which came first? Simon and Garfunkel's discography or the film The Graduate?
That's a great question.
It's a little bit more long-winded to ask it that way, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know which came first. But it's a pretty decent movie. Anyways, at the end they're all like excited, like, because they have like the adrenaline of just like blowing up this wedding, and the girl who like left the wedding is like said like okay, but then like all of a sudden it cuts to them like they finally escape and they jump on this bus and people are chasing them, and as soon as like the excitement's dead, they just like sit there. And that's also where the whole meme with Job and Arrested Development came from. They're both like realize the gravity of like all the shit they fucked up and like all the stuff they're gonna have to deal with, and they're just like, oh. And
so The Graduate's one of those movies where I've seen the parodies and the references to it more than I haven't actually seen the movie.
That movie gets referenced so much. That scene
so much. Well, yeah, I've seen. I mean, I had no idea that was what Arrested Development was referencing, but I mean, Archer parodies that exact ending scene. Like they basically do that scene, they recreate that shot, except it's with Barry, the Bionic Man, and Svetlana, the Bionic wife that marries Archer. Like they basically redo that entire scene, like shot for shot, like perfectly, in an episode of Archer. Which is I knew that, but I didn't know that the Hello Darkness, My Old Friend. I didn't know that was also part of all that.
It sure is.
Interesting. I've also there's that scene though when they break up the wedding, they parody that in that banned episode of Family Guy, one of the banned episodes of Family Guy, that they put on the DVDs.
They parody it in Wayne's World 2 as well.
Yes, they do. Yep. They parody that scene so much
in a million things.
Yeah.
It's a commonly parodied thing.
It really is. But I didn't know about the darkness, Hello Darkness, my old friend aspect of it. Probably because I think most of the parodies are not willing to, I think, pay the money for the Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah, probably true.
Yeah. What's your favorite
Dr.
Simon and
Soundcheck
Garfunkel song?
Says I do love that you got the groomsmen those frost buddies. Yeah, I got everybody, my groomsmen, all these koozies. But Ian apparently was hanging out with Dr. Soundcheck like a day or two before, and he was showing it off to him that he had one. So
yeah, and I remember Dr. Soundcheck showed it to me. He showed me all the different combinations, and I go, "Wow, I gotta get myself one of those." And then 2 days later, I had one.
And then you did.
Yeah.
Favorite Simon and Garfunkel song. So I find that I like Paul Simon songs, like his solo stuff, more than I like their duet stuff. I think, but that's
fair.
A question you asked me.
No, but I mean, I think that's fair. It's fair if that's like what you'd prefer to answer with. I'm not gonna like set the rules for it.
But favorite Simon and Garfunkel song. It's hard to think of them right off the top of my head. I could look up a list of their top hits.
I don't know any Paul Simon solo career songs. I think off
you
the
do
top of my head.
If you heard a few of them, you'd know them.
I'm sure. I think Cecilia is my favorite Simon and Garfunkel song. I'm a big fan of that song.
That's a goodie.
It is a goodie. You're breaking my heart. You're shaking my confidence. And then the YouTube algorithm shuts us down, or we get banned from Twitch for singing a song.
You're just too good of a singer. Yeah, Cecilia might be mine as well.
It's a great one.
It's a good one. Mrs. Robinson is good, but it's a little weird. I don't know. It's like one of those ones that like the more I've heard it so much that I kind of it loses points for just me being like sick of it.
Fair. The Jesus lyric, I'm like, okay. I mean, like you got me until you brought up Jesus, because I mean that just I don't give a shit.
I don't even know what that song's about.
Me neither.
Like, talking about baseball and all sorts of shit. I don't know what's going on.
I'm one of those folks who like I love music. I love reading lyrics. I love finding out lyrics, and like I'll oftentimes try and draw meaning from lyrics. And then I'll look up like what other people are saying the lyrics are about on like Lyric Genius or something like that, and I'll find out. I mean, also Lyric Genius is kind of like Wikipedia, where anyone can submit their interpretations to it. But I'll look it up on Wikipedia, because a lot of times Wikipedia will have what the artist said the song is about. But I'll look up the songs and I'll realize, oh, my interpretation was completely off base, or I completely misheard the lyrics. Like there's a song from Thundercat, and it's like, nobody move, there's blood on the floor.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. But I thought that he says, "And I can't find my heart," and I thought he's saying mop and not heart. And then like I thought like he kept saying about like I thought the next couple of lines were about how he couldn't find his mop, and I thought that the point of the song was that like there's violence in America, but people are more focused about the maintaining the idea of things being fine than about actually fixing like issues. And then I look up the song. That might be
more deep than the real song.
It is, because the real song is about just a guy who a girl broke up with him and he's hurt. So I was like, oh shit. Kind of like my version better, but because it's goofier, but at the same time it's more it's got something to it. But I find oftentimes my interpretations of lyrics are just way off base.
Well, you know, that's part of the fun of interpreting art, right?
That is true, yeah. There is no better way to get people disinterested in art than to tell them what it means. I have found that out.
Tell them what they should be feeling.
Yeah. I remember there was like some sort of assignment we had to do in college where we had to like make a collage, and then it had to be like, it had to have meaning. Like you had to specifically put shit in that had like underlying meanings to them. So like I made like a tree, and I put like fucking tigers and like all kinds of shit in it, and like the tigers were there because I like tigers, and a bunch of other stuff. And so like we're presenting our pieces, and like people were talking about like what they interpreted from my thing for like 5 minutes. And then like after they were all done, it was my turn to speak, and I'm like, oh, okay, so here, let me just break it down for you guys. I loved all of what you said. I think that's great. I wish I had thought of that, but this is that, and you could just like see everyone's fucking eyes glaze. I talked for like 15 seconds, but like I just immediately saw the interest just leave everybody, and so I learned from there.
I've definitely done that before, where I'm like, wow, great ideas, but no, unfortunately, I didn't think of that. But there's also been times, and we've talked about this before on the show, where somebody critique me and like their description was just like fit the thing so well, and it was such a better idea that it was not intentional, where I was just like, correct, you got it. Wow, I didn't think anybody here would be able to get
Nailed
it. You're
it.
just wow, you saw what I was trying to do.
Wow, you should be a critic, sir, for how
just such a lame thing to do, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Feeling Groovy is one of my favorite Simon and Garfunkel, or S&M songs. Simon and Garfunkel, I'm assuming. S&M means something different.
The band you were just singing, was that band?
What?
Nobody move, there's blood on the floor.
That's Thundercat.
Oh, Thundercat.
Yeah. Feeling Groovy is a Simon and Garfunkel song. Like, Feeling Groovy.
I don't know that. Maybe I know it if I hear it.
It's like the ultra chillest song you'll ever hear in your fucking life. Like, it's like lo-fi folk music to chill, relax, and study to, essentially.
What if I want to do things besides relax and study? These are the only options.
Then you can't listen to lo-fi music, man. You gotta listen to another fucking genre.
Sucks.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Brandon. Yes. When we were in Michigan, let's do this shit where we skip past talking about our personal lives, and let's talk about what everyone's really here for, our thoughts on the various movies, new and old.
Sure.
No, I mean, I don't know if anyone actually gives a shit about our thoughts on that stuff. They're here, might as well subject them
Hopefully,
to
because if they don't, then man, they must have been upset this past like 3 years of the show.
Yeah, what do they get out of this show? Because we don't really talk about.
Kind of our main bag.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about like the state of the world on this show ever, because it just bums me out. So I mean.
No, I mean, if you want to be depressed, there's lots of places to go do that. You don't need to come here.
Yeah. So we watched Glass Onion.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. We should start with the stuff that we.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You know, well, you did. So. Fuck you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we saw Glass Onion.
Yeah,
we saw it in theaters while you were out here.
Yes.
It was
last day. It was in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Final showing.
I loved it.
I fucking loved it. Yeah. Glass Onion.
If you like,
was dope.
You know, if you liked, this is obviously to those of you that don't know, maybe not, obviously, sequel to Knives Out. And I loved Knives Out, and this was, in my opinion, I would have to watch Knives Out again, but I think this is better.
I liked it more than
on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Knives Out, I want to say 3 times. Big fan.
I've only seen it the one time, I think.
Yeah, I recommend. It's like one of those. It's one of those movies that Knives Out is one of those movies that I mean, it's just one of those movies where like they put so much detail in it that you kind of find stuff the second time watching through, you know.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it quite a bit.
But yeah, we both loved, I think it's fair to say, Glass Onion, a Knives Out murder mystery. I don't think that's the actual title. It's close, but it's not. I think it's just a Knives Out mystery. Something going on outside?
I think. Oh no, sorry, I got distracted by my cat for a second.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's fine.
She's like falling asleep, and she's doing that thing where her head's like bobbing, and she's almost like headbutting the bed.
That's cute.
But you know, I forgot I'm doing an internet show right now. Cuteness will have to wait.
I mean, if you have cat cam set up, we can always switch over to it.
I did set it up, but then after my internet went down, I tore it down just so because I had to reboot my computer. It's the fastest way to get my internet back up.
Oh, weird. That sounds.
It's weird. There must be something else going on.
It might be a thing with your Ethernet like card or something like that. Honestly, on your.
Very possible. Very possible.
Interesting.
I'll have to look into that. But
next time your internet next time your internet goes out, I recommend just checking on your phone to see if you're connected to the Wi-Fi, and if you are, then you know, problem solved. You figured it out.
Right, but then, you know, solving it. I guess what? Just replace that.
Yeah, Ethernet cards are, you know, cheaper than and easier than having to go to like your cable company. You know, they're like $30, I would say, maybe more if you want to go fancy. But
well, then I think that's probably it. Then I'll look into fixing that.
Yeah, worth looking into. But anyways, let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
Heard about this? Have you seen this? It was good. Like the first one, great cast.
Star-studded cast, but like in a nice.
It's great that it's star-studded because there's a lot of people you love, but also like for whodunit, you want like an eclectic.
Exactly. Which they definitely have. Yeah, they definitely nailed.
All different types.
They nailed the Clue vibes for sure.
Both movies did this thing that I think is acceptable, where you couldn't solve it on your own. They don't give you all the info. They're like, some of those older movies are like, all right, it's like almost like you're watching like a murder mystery game, and like, all right, evidence was all here. It all happened in front of your eyes. Now, what did you
kind of like Murderville? Murderville does the opposite of that.
Did you see the Christmas special, by the way?
I haven't yet. I still want to, but
watched it.
Is it good?
Watched it. Yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Funny. Jason Bateman's in it, and those two together are great.
Yeah.
And I recommend it. But
yeah, Knives Out is not about that though. Knives Out, I would argue, is more about the dramatic telling of like the characters themselves solving the mystery, and more so than about you as the audience member doing the work and figuring out yourself, which is fine.
Totally, because halfway through the movie they do a reveal. They did it in the first one too, where it's like, all right, here's the information you need to solve it that we didn't give you. There's no way you could have solved it.
Exactly.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm just along for the ride.
Absolutely. And that's what the movies are about, being along for the ride more so than like, and I think that's fine. It's like a style of doing the murder mystery, but if you're along for the ride, you get to enjoy the movie as an experience more than you're like, if you know that you can find out the mystery as you're like watching
every
it.
Little nugget.
Yeah, you're not really enjoying the story anymore. You're sort of like paying attention. You're like, oh, but the elevator was on that floor, and then you stop paying attention to the eclectic characters and like all the work that was put into the dialogue and all that stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But yeah, there's a lot of, you can look at the cast, but big cast in it. Like.
Dave Bautista
and what's her name?
Shit. I just looked up I looked up both of the actresses' names, and they're already escaping me. Even though the one is like, shit, she was on Hot Ones like recently, and she was. Yeah, was great.
She was in I think the issue we're having with her, because with after the movie we tried to think of her name, and it was the same problem. But the issue is that she used to be huge, and she hasn't done much in like a little bit. Back, anyways, you can look up the
fucking cast.
You can do it. You have if you're watching this on the internet, you can easily look up. But
if you're watching this on Twitch, go to the other Amazon-owned website, IMDb, and look up who the fuck was in the movie, man. Like Jeff Bezos.
Soon, instead of the internet, they'll just call it the
movie database.
Bezos sphere.
Oh yeah.
He owns it all.
He does. And they're doing a great job.
He votes himself out.
Yeah. Twitch is making some choices. It feels like they're just trying to like kill Twitch with the choices they've made, like disallowing VODs in like South Korea and shit like that, and all that stuff. It's like some weird choices. It feels like they know, like Twitch could make money, but they have no interest in like pursuing any good ideas on that. But that's a different topic.
No fun in that. Who wants? Lotus Clock says, how many of the 2022 Pinocchio movies did each of you see? I've seen none, but I'm aware that are there actually 4? I know there's 3.
I know I've watched like a bunch of YouTube people like mocking the Pauly Shore one, because I mean that's hilarious. I just want to be a real boy. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's all I know too.
Liz and I have been dating 3 months as of yesterday. We should get lunch or dinner soon. Top KO, Z-Newts, and Bell Bell
Congratulations.
Rockets. Yeah, congrats, guys.
I was not invited apparently, so I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Get the frickety frack out of this conversation,
I didn't even get
Brandon.
invited.
This is an A and B conversation. So why don't you
get the fuck out?
So damn it, I was gonna say exactly that.
I should. I'm a rude.
Rude, crude.
It's bad
food
to share
dude.
the stage with me. Like you set yourself up, and I just like fucked it up.
We're both constantly just stomping on each other. Like that's all I did when I was visiting you in Michigan was you'd start telling a joke and I'd finish the punchline before you got around to it.
It's all right. You know, we didn't have latency to blame there though.
That's true. That was just me being an asshole.
That's okay. I do it too. But congrats, Leviathan Den.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love is alive.
Awesome.
Yeah, Glass Onion. It was good shit. Really fun. I mean, it's just, I've complained about this, and I said this as we were leaving the theater, but it's nice to watch a movie where I feel anything after it. Because like slightly, like we've watched a bunch of movies, and I just felt nothing after we watched them. Some, like a lot of the movies that have come out this year, like Prey, like it was competent, and I don't know, I felt nothing.
Fine. I don't know. That one's not. There's worse things I've seen.
There's worse, like Slumberland. I saw Slumberland, the Jason Momoa. Like, have you seen? I told you about Slumberland.
No, your review made me race out to see it immediately.
Yeah.
But no, I have not seen it.
There's just so many movies I've seen where I've just felt absolutely nothing after it. So it was nice to watch a movie where as we were leaving the theater, I had a great time and really thought it did a lot of things right and in exciting and fun ways. Had characters I gave a shit about, actually did anything with them, had a fun plot, you know. It was nice to feel anything about a movie, but also to enjoy a movie so much as I did Glass Onion.
It was really good. I loved it.
Yeah.
One of the better things I've seen in a little while.
In quite a while, I agree.
Leviathan Den says, "P-chaps, if you want to come for a fucking lunch date, you're welcome to. But if you got the cash to fly here for lunch, you have the cash to buy lunch for everyone." That's very presumptuous. I might spend my last few dollars just to come out for lunch. Like, I know. Hey guys, plane was kind of expensive. Someone cover me.
I spent my last few dollars on my plane tickets, so I mean, Thanks for coming out. We love you. It was worth it to, like, I mean, it was like the first I'd been out of the house in months, and I've been out of the house like twice overall this year, so it was good to be out of the house.
Glad you had fun, because I made you rent a suit and all that bullshit, and that sucks.
Yeah, although my Christmas present, the parents actually did pay for the plane ticket. I went into debt eating at all the restaurants.
I kept trying to be like, hey, we can eat here, and you guys are like, no. I'm like, okay. No,
I went out of my way to like eat food at different I would order things, and I'd be like, you know, if I just got the appetizer, like I can pay my credit card this month, and I was like, fuck it, I want the grilled cheese and the soup and the pretzel wheels. Pretzel pepperoni wheels.
You had a good time.
I had a great time. I do that. It's not the first time I've gone into debt just out of vacationing, like, and doing shit I could easily avoid doing on a vacation. So it's a habit. It's a cycle. It's a pattern of behavior. You know,
you need the let loose once in a while. It's all right.
Absolutely. That's what that was. Yeah. In my head, I was like, fuck it. Like, when's the last time I've had this opportunity? And the last time I had it was in 2019. So I fucking, you know, I went whole hog, as some people like to say.
Glad you did.
Thank you.
We had a blast. Yeah, what else?
Glass Onion. Are we still talking about Glass Onion? Do we have anything else to say about it? I mean, we don't want to give anything away because it's one of those movies where
it's a very like you know, the fun is in the like watching it.
Yeah. Edward Norton's great. I'll just say what I thought, how I thought every actor and actress was. Everyone was great. I thought the movie handled the pandemic aspect well, in that it was
actually it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The way they handled it.
It's interesting because I've seen some movies address the fact that a pandemic happened, a worldwide like global pandemic. Some movies have addressed that it happened, some have not, and I thought the way this movie did was humorous. It brought humor to it without being tasteless.
Nobody's like plight was the punchline. It was just funny the way they handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. We were talking about this with my friend Mika, but some people found Daniel Craig's Bayou accent to be a little much in the first movie.
That was the issue for the. Yeah, I was gonna say I was already hearing that back in the first one, and I was like, "What? That was like my favorite part."
Yeah, I enjoyed. Yeah.
Not everyone's aligned, but some people feel that way, and I get it. It's very intense, but I'm like all for it. I love. So, you want to sell me on a character? It doesn't have to be believable, but if you flesh him out, you give him like unique traits that aren't like tropes.
Yeah.
I'm on board already. Like that's if you put a character in front of me who's like just got a weird quirk or something about him that makes him unique, and I'm like, hell yeah, because I'm so used to seeing the same stuff over and over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel Craig in the first movie, yeah, his accent was a little over the top, but I thought that was charming. I mean, he played it charming, and also they gave his character enough personality where he didn't feel like a caricature. Like his character in the first movie loves like certain I forget all of his quirks, but they give him a lot of likes and dislikes, and they give him things that he enjoys, and they they give him an opportunity to sort of like expose those elements of himself in the first movie, and in the second one he gets even more characterization. You learn more about him without it still being like there's no mystery to his character. I did feel like his accent was a little bit more laid back, not quite so extravagantly Bayou-ish, this new one, but it was still there and it was still fun. Yeah, I mean, I thought Daniel Craig was great in both, but I think in this one Daniel Craig's just proven himself to be
the movie.
Yeah, he's the movie, and he's proven himself to be perfectly capable of carrying this series thus far on the back of his characterization and like the way he plays that character. So I think it's a good thing.
I'd be happy to watch them make more.
Me too.
With him back at it.
Absolutely. Edward Norton. Edward Norton.
Him and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in anything lately. I think that's just because I haven't watched whatever he's been in as of late, but I think Edward Norton's a great actor. I don't think he ever he does sometimes play different characters, but I've seen at least 4 movies where Edward Norton plays like what I assume is Edward Norton, which is fine. But if you play a character who is basically who you are, better do a damn good job at conveying like their emotions and stuff like that. And Edward Norton kills it. Like he's so good. Like when there's like a scene where he sees a character and he's got this look of just absolute disbelief in his eyes. You think it's for one reason, and then you find out as the story goes on that things happen. But his look is like that. It's very nonverbal acting in that particular moment. But when I was watching it and I saw that scene, I was just like, damn it, this is why you hire Edward Norton, because you can fucking sell this emotion his character is having right now.
He makes that face very well.
He does, yeah. He does that face in multiple movies too. Like that's
every
like
movie.
That's the Edward Norton face. But he's fucking like there's a good reason he does it. He's good at it.
It's a good face.
Yeah.
Good face he's got there.
It's like the face he gets after he finds out the truth about Tyler Durden. It's the face when he finds out he's the Hulk. He's done that face.
Real quick, Leviathan Den says, you can buy us lunch in celebration for you getting married. I feel like that's going to be the new norm. I bought fucking lunch for like 200 people, and I'm done buying lunch for people.
You've earned yourself not buying lunch for the next like 10 years.
He says, B-Chaps, we love you. You're welcome anytime, bro. Yeah, I mean, well, the next, Brandon and Ian get together should be out that way. That's the plan.
Yeah.
I've been invited for years. Just pandemic stuff kind of.
We threw a wrench in all that. Yeah. Jinx.
Well, on my end, I said it first. So.
Me too. On my end, I said it first too, but I mean that's
just go ahead and mail me a Coke. Anyways, yeah. So I imagine at some point I'll make my way out there and we'll all get together. That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be a good time. God, I wish I knew the name of the woman who plays the. I'm just gonna look it up. I'm just gonna look up who was in Hot Ones most recently.
Is it Kate something?
I want to say it's Kate. I know it starts with a K. I don't want to say Kate Winslet because that's not her. I know that much.
That's not right.
Yeah. Oh, they just had
She's
Paul
great,
Dano.
though. She was awesome in it.
She was fantastic.
Like she was
Kate
like
Hudson.
probably one of the Hudson.
Yeah.
She was probably like one of the best.
She was a highlight of that movie for sure, in my opinion.
Actors in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone did a great job, in all honesty.
Yeah,
I mean,
they all brought it.
Yeah. I'm really surprised by Janelle Monáe. She's
that again.
She played the ex of Edward Norton, you know, sort of the.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. But she has been. I mean, I think her albums. I love Janelle Monáe's music. I've listened to 2 of her albums, and not every song off those albums is particularly my bag, but her music is super creative and funky and fresh, and like they're like all concept albums set in the future, and she's a robot, and I think that's a cool aesthetic that she's chasing in her music. So to see her act in this movie and to do like multiple accents and do what she did in that movie as like an actress, I mean, I'm very impressed by Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so you're an actress too.
Yeah. Oh, you can do this. Yeah.
You nailed it.
Who else? I mean, Dave Bautista was great. I love Dave Bautista and everything he's been in. I haven't seen everything he's been in, but he's another one of those wrestlers who has gone on to have a successful career as an actor. And every single time I've seen him in a movie, I'm like, good. This guy deserves the work.
I think all actors, or all wrestlers are kind of want that to be the next step, but few of them have what it takes, but he does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the only actor who is, you know, sort of on that same level of being successful in an acting career, I would say like Triple H and The Rock are the obvious ones, but
has Triple H been in a lot? I haven't seen him.
He hasn't been in a lot. It's The Rock is mostly on the level that Dave Bautista is in, but the only other actor or WWE wrestler I've seen who has had at least some amount of success in acting post wrestling would be Triple H.
Hogan used to do some acting, but it wasn't good.
Yeah. I mean, and Triple H was like a henchman in Blade, and that's all I can really say he's been.
Okay.
Although I guess Chris Jericho is in like a Viking TV series or something like that. He looks cool as shit in it.
Good for him.
Yeah. Or is it Chris Jericho? Is that the guy who broke his back a bajillion times and wrestled in the most recent WrestleMania? Because
that's the one.
He looks cool as shit in the Viking TV show. I mean, I think he's just a cool looking dude.
Kind of looks like a Viking in general, so it works out.
Yeah, but he's apparently doing that, and that's cool. He seems like a nice guy.
Nice.
I mean, there's like the way that the way that Knives Out, A Glass Onion was set up was very thrilling, and I think that's cool. Just to like be engrossed in the plot as much as I was, it's a unusual feeling. I'm not often as engrossed in the plot of like a lot of movies I see nowadays as I was in Glass Onion. So it felt good to be surprised, and the way they set everything up, like during the movie, I'm not gonna give too many details. You know that a murder is gonna happen. You're waiting for it, and it starts to feel like it's just never gonna happen. It feels like they keep like pulling the rug out from under you and being like, just kidding, no one's dead yet. And then when the murder does happen, when the murder does happen though, I knew it was coming because the movie wanted you to know it was coming because they like edit it and like shoot it and set it up so brilliantly, in my opinion. So like I could tell that the death was gonna come soon, and I was like, oh, who's it gonna be? But that tension was still there. Like it wasn't, nothing was obvious, but I knew that I knew the shoe was finally gonna drop, and I was excited for the shoe to drop.
I love about these types of stories where they know what the trope is. They know that it's a whodunit, and they know that you know that.
Yeah.
So they do this thing where, and so many things do it, where like, okay, if the only thing you know about the plot is that someone's gonna die, they like to tease. They like to have people like casually walking along the edge of like the Shark Tank or something, where it's just like, okay, is it gonna be them? They're gonna die. They're doing dangerous things.
It's like in Final Destination. Exactly. Yeah. we both had that, and we both.
But yeah, it's very much a thing. Not to move on, but I think it's a good time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's too much more to say without getting into just strictly spoiler territory. If you like a whodunit, and I personally love whodunits. Like, one of my favorite tropes of all time is lights go out, there's a scream and a bang, and then lights come on, someone's just like sitting there dead. That's like one of my favorite tropes, even though it's like you can't do a lot with it. That's like I love that trope. In my that one hits me right in the aesthetic.
Speaking of that whole vibe of like, you know, you expecting this thing but you don't know how or when or who it's going to happen to. Me and Morgan just binged White Lotus. Have you heard of this?
I've been hearing a lot about that show. I haven't watched it, but I hear people are really always talking about the mystery or like who's going to die next on it. So it seems like one of those.
There's a season 2 now that I haven't started. I don't know anything about that, but or it might be over. I have no idea. Who knows? Maybe our chat has watched it all. But I'd heard a lot about the show, not knowing anything really, except for that it was like a dark comedy. And so me and Morgan, I like put an episode on when she's like, we're just sitting there, and next thing you know, we're like obsessed, and we watched the whole first season. That's a pretty star-studded one too, but it's more like a soap opera, but like dark comedy, and everybody sucks. Yeah. So it's just like, basically it takes place at a resort, and all the people staying there are just like rich, entitled, shitty people, and the staff is just like dealing with them. But it's the very first scene basically shows that somebody has died, and they don't say who, and it's like a shot from like the end of the show, and then the show starts. So the whole time you're like, this is in the back of your head, where like somebody's going to die out of these people, and you're like, who's it going to be? And they keep doing things where like characters are in situations where like they could very easily die right here. So it's fun, you know, trying to predict who it's gonna be and all that stuff.
Interesting.
I like that.
I like that stuff. Yeah, I like.
It was a great show. I recommend it.
I'll check it out.
You see Steve Zane's penis in like the first 5 minutes of the show, so if, you know.
I don't know Steve.
I'm not saying that's like
off the top of my head, but I'll see his penis.
You'd recognize him. Well, I mean, it was. I'm not that upset about seeing a penis in a TV show, but
no,
like, it's very egregious, like as zoomed in as possible. It's like it was rude what they did to. It's always shocking. I don't care how much you like a penis. If it takes up the entire frame, and all of a sudden just appears on screen, it's startling to everyone, even women.
I think even if you like penises and sexually, I don't think anyone enjoys the look of a penis. I don't think it's like an aesthetically pleasing. That's why it's like a jump scare, and like why people draw it on like things is just because no one likes the look or shape of a penis. It's just like penis has a utility to it. Some people enjoy that aspect of it, but no one's like trying to see like a weird hose coming out of somebody's like pelvis. Like no.
I mean, that's a whole nother
I can't
thing
speak
to go through with your therapist, but ultimately, like in TV, it's rare. So when it appears just like smack dab in front of you, it's shocking sometimes. And, so I wasn't. Anyway, regardless, you know, it's a great show. I'm just not going to recommend it to like
your parents. My parents. All right, cool. We've finished this drawing. Would you say? I tried to hide like a little Krampus in there, but I don't think it comes.
Oh, so, gotcha. I was like, why is there? How do you see a shadow of one of the reindeer in the sky? But I understand what you've done.
Yeah, it's not great. I tried to like sneak a Cthulhu in there too, just like some little Eldritch horror in the background. But
I really like this drawing. It's a good
I like
one.
it. Yeah. Merry Crimbus. Merry Chrysler.
Let's save it.
All right.
Should we take a break or should we just continue on?
Are you feeling like? I mean, we could take like a quick 2-minute break. You know, just refill my water.
Real quick one.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll be back, and we have more shit to talk about. I saw that new Will Ferrell movie.
I didn't even know it was a movie. I thought it was a show or something. But okay, cool.
Yeah, it's on Apple TV Plus, and we wanted to watch it as a family, so I just bought us a month of it so I could finish Severance.
Cool. I want to talk about that too.
Well, I haven't watched it anymore. Okay. I've only seen the first episode still, but
all right.
We did watch the Will Ferrell movie yesterday night.
Double Rocket says Brandon's in the sex dungeon. Yeah, it's very pink in here.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
I have to adjust, but yeah, cool. All right, well, we'll hurry and fill our waters and use the bathroom. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Alrighty, see y'all soon. Whoa, hello there, SpongeBob. It's me. I don't know why I said SpongeBob. I don't know why.
Which character was that supposed to be?
I don't know. I feel like for some reason in my head, I hear somebody going, "Hello there, SpongeBob." I don't know if that's from. I don't know why it's SpongeBob.
If it's from anything, it's from SpongeBob.
I have to assume it's from a SpongeBob episode if it is from something. It could also just be me making shit up for all I know.
So Ian, we're back.
Yes, we're back.
and you were going to tell us about, what was that show called? The one with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell.
Yes,
right?
It's a movie.
Movie. That's
and
right.
It's
called it show again.
It's called Spirited, and I can confirm that I feel a little differently than at least my brother and my father on it. I enjoyed my time with it.
They didn't like it.
They didn't like it. Zach and Dad were both just like saying, like, they'll just say in the middle of a movie, like, this fucking sucks. And then my dad will say, like, this is terrible. And then he'll laugh, like, outrageously, like, 2 seconds later at a joke that's happening. So, you know. But,
in Dad's defense, there are many movies that I thought were bad that had the occasional laugh for me.
This is true. This is true. No, I'm not going to fault him for that.
I'm not that easily bought and sold.
Yeah.
Oh, you made me laugh? That doesn't make this a good movie.
Oh, you motherfucker. You think you can just win me over with your cheap laughs? Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. It's a musical. And you know,
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes, it is a music. It's very musical.
Did they advertise that as such?
I mean, the very first commercial I ever saw of it was them doing like one of their numbers.
All right.
So I knew from the get-go, I think, but I forgot. I mean, I didn't pay attention to much of it. On my, like, once I decided, yeah, I'll watch it. Anytime I decide I'm gonna watch something, I stop looking at anything involving it. Trailers, commercials. I just sort of
ruined.
But it's very musical. It's not like Hamilton, where like people say Hamilton's a musical. It's like, no, Hamilton's a rock opera. No one says a damn word that's not sung in Hamilton.
A rock opera is a musical, though.
Yes, but there's a difference between an opera and a musical. An opera is not a word of dialogue is spoken. Everything is sung. It's just constant song after song after song. And that's how Hamilton is. Whereas a musical is there's a song and then there's people talking and acting like it's a normal thing, and then they'll break into song again. So Hamilton's an opera in my opinion. Spirited was a musical. More like a rap opera. Yeah, Hamilton was like a rap, but there was like some rock. I mean, calling Hamilton rap is also not. Some of it's rappy, but
I think rap is rap, despite whether it's quality or not. I mean, I guess I like Hamilton, so I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying anything about the quality. I'm just saying like a lot of Hamilton's music was just straight up like what you'd hear in another musical. Not like I'm saying that songs are generic or anything like that, but like the songs didn't always strike me as being like, oh, this is rap. Sometimes I was just
not
like,
every song. Sure.
This is a song. This is like. Sometimes they like say like sometimes it feels more like slam poetry than it does rap, which, you know, whether slam poetry counts as rap or not is also a debate. There's gradients of everything, but the point is that Hamilton is more opera than it is musical. If I were to like differentiate between things. Because Hamilton's just music constantly. I don't think there is a single spoken word of dialogue in Hamilton. Anyways, Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds and other people in it is a musical. There's a lot of music in it, and the music wasn't particularly like, if you know like how songs and musicals go, you know, like the sound of like the musical theater type of like song, you know what I mean? That's what pretty much all the songs in Spirited are like, which isn't my favorite genre to listen to. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, so a lot of people discuss this. You're not like anti-musical, but you just don't like them that much.
I'm not anti-musical. It's just that every musical, I feel like, is trying to do the same style of music, which is the musical theater style of music, which is you got crowds of people saying the chorus and like lines of it, and there's so many people that at some point you lose like what the actual words are, because there's just like 300 people like singing like the words at some point. And then there's like, you know, sometimes there's a guitar, but it's all like very dramatic. I don't know, there's a style to musical theater type of music, and it's not my preferred style of music. If I were to see a musical where every song in it was not that genre of music, I'd probably enjoy the hell out of it, because I'd be like, hell yeah, like something different. But a lot of musicals just use the same style of music. Anyways, but I'm not against musicals. I'm not even against that genre of music. It's just I've heard so much of it. You don't like show tunes? No, I actually love show tunes, but like.
Oh, okay, because that's musical. Like, it's
no, but
musical.
Show tunes. I think of like older shit. Like I think of like White Christmas as show tunes. You know, like the songs in White Christmas are kind of show tuney. I know I'm making a lot of personal definitions that are not like the agreed upon like boxes. A lot of people talk about, like I'm saying, oh, Hamilton's an opera. People say it's a musical, it's an opera. But when I think of like, I guess these are still show tunes, but it's like the modern version of show tunes, and I'm not super about that style of music. But I'm not like against it. It's just like you gotta do a little bit extra for me to give a shit, because I've heard this shit in every other musical for the last 20 years. Feels like. Anyways, it's a musical. Ryan Reynolds is in it, kind of being like half of a Deadpool. Basically being Ryan Reynolds, but
yeah, he's the same.
Yeah.
I like him, but he's the same.
Yeah. If you like the Ryan Reynolds shtick, you'll like him in this movie. And the plot is that it's like the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol, three ghosts, past, present, future.
Is it Scrooged the musical?
It's sort of Scrooge the musical, but it's meta too, because they mentioned Scrooged actually. They actually mentioned specifically Scrooged, and they talk like it's basically like
this exists in a world where Christmas, whatever the play is called, this
A Christmas Carol
in this world.
Yes, A Christmas Carol. Okay. Like the ghosts have been doing the Christmas Carol format for like ever since like Scrooge. The ghosts have been doing at least A Christmas Carol every year, trying to turn somebody around. Will Ferrell is the ghost of Christmas Present, and they're trying to redeem Ryan Reynolds' character, who's an awful businessman who specifically sows division and like makes politics as shitty as they are. Like he's like basically like gets people in a froth over like minor culture war differences, or like starts culture wars for like petty bullshit, which feels very modern. Kinda. It's very Scrooge. It's very modern though, because like specifically targeting somebody who is like trying to create like divisive culture war stuff is very like of our time.
That's true.
And there's a brief mention of the pandemic, but they kind of just like mention it once and kind of move on. But I was like, okay, that's quaint. I liked the movie overall. I liked how meta it was. I felt like the message it was saying, like there was more nuance to the message it was trying to say about like, because like there's a whole aspect of like, you know, they cured Scrooge, quote unquote, but like, does a person stay good after they've had their whole Christmas Carol experience? Like, does Scrooge stay a good person like 2 days after he's like, when Christmas is over and he's like,
he buys cooked goose for everybody, and then after that,
like, is he a piece? Yeah, does he go back to his old ways?
Making those profits.
Right. So they kind of, that's like an underlying question in the movie without giving too much away. I'm really trying to be broad about the themes, but still talking about it, because
I like that. It feels like a actually fresh take. Because when I saw trailers, I was like, Scrooged.
Right.
Like, you're trying to do another version of this story that's been told 300 times, and you're doing it from like a more, it's like a business guy. It's more modern.
Yeah.
Scrooge. But sounds like they're a little bit, like you said, meta, self-aware.
It's very meta. Like there's like they actually
the actual the fact, not to cut you off, the fact that that this story exists in this world is something new.
Yes, and like there's a lot that they do that's new for like the Scrooge, like the Christmas Carol sort of like theme. Like there's a lot that they do that's new from everything. So they actually do talk about like that's the theme that they're really exploring is being like, do you just stay good after you go through the Christmas Carol thing? And I don't want to like, but like I think the way they handle it, I'm really trying to like, it's hard to say about the things I liked and disliked about the movie without directly spoiling shit, because a lot of what I liked and disliked about the movie, more what I liked about the movie is in the specifics. Like I like the way they handle all the specific plot points. I thought that the way they did all that stuff was both timely, but also more nuanced than I'm used to for like a Christmas movie. Like they really do sort of try and get into like that theme of like, do you stay good? Like as Balboa Rocket saying in the chat, even a nice lady like me can't be good every day of the year. You know, they sort of they're trying to unpack that in the movie, and I think that's cool. I appreciate the amount of nuance they give to that topic, because it doesn't the movie in the end I thought felt more human than a lot of like fucking Christmas movies that are also about like, oh, this person's shitty and they become good, you know what I mean? I felt more of a human connection to the movie than I have in a lot of sort of things of the same vein. And that
a story
nuance
that's been told 10,000 times, if you can find a new way to do it, that's an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, and so like, and the way they do various scenes in regards to that, I thought was good. I would say my main complaint about the movie is it feels bloated. There's I think like 3 or 4 songs too many. You know,
fair. Fair.
Like, and I actually like I did enjoy some of the music. Like I've had the very first song you hear in the movie in my head like the last 2 fucking days, and I can't get it out, and I hate that because it's not like even a song that I'm just like, yeah, this is a toe tapper. I'm just like, shit, it's still in my fucking head.
You have an infection right now. It's not about you haven't chosen this curse. The curse.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Suffering from it.
Yeah.
The way I usually solve that, I don't know, maybe people in the chat have a solution. How do you usually solve an earworm? Do you have
I usually just listen to the song 2 or 3 times, and then
Okay, well that's what I was gonna say. So I guess
yeah.
I'll go fuck myself.
Go fuck yourself, my dude. But yeah. So here's the thing, and this is not a spoiler, but they have an explanation for why the movie is a musical. It's very meta about the fact that it's a musical and the fact that they're doing a Christmas Carol. Like it's as meta. Maybe it's 1 or 2 times more meta than it should be, but for the most part, the movie feels appropriately meta. Where I enjoyed that aspect of it, the meta nature of it at times. Like they say in the very first song, they're because it's about ghosts, so they're dead. So when they're doing the first musical number, they have like a new arrivals to the afterlife showing up who are gonna like start learning the job, and then in that group there's like 3 main dead people, newly dead people, and they're like, oh wait, why is everyone singing? And then the one guy's like, well, the afterlife is a musical, and they're like, oh. And then they got one guy who goes like, a musical, fuck. You know, like he doesn't like that it's a musical, which I also thought was a fun meta aspect of it.
Like you don't have a choice, it's just
he's the guy who doesn't like musicals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I like that he's like, but does he still sing?
Yeah, he gets into it. That's not a spoiler.
Well, whether you get into it or not, I'm like, if the afterlife is a musical and you don't like musicals, I kind of picture it as like a hell where you're like, well, now I'm in a musical, so I don't think I have a say in whether I sing or not. It's just
right.
This is what, if life's a musical, you sing.
Yeah, that would be somebody's own special form of hell for sure.
That would be a good get like
That would be a good musical concept.
Somebody write Hell the musical, and it's like Hell is a musical, and the people there don't want to be singing, but it's just that's what it is. So,
and avoid making any of the same jokes that South Park has made with their Christmas time.
Right, that's a hard one to do. Might be possible.
Yeah. But yeah, so like there's a lot of nuance to the themes that I am not used to seeing in A movies, especially modern ones, but B in Christmas movies that are like supposed to make you feel like warm and cheery on the inside. I think the movie still does lean saccharine sometimes, but I thought still overall the messaging was way more solid than a lot of movies that I've seen that have purported to have like a good message, you know?
Yeah.
And the way they handle it, again, without going into spoilers, they do answer that question, and the answer to the question is you just got to work towards it. You got to work to be good, and like it's a choice, which is a good message. I think like the way they handle like are you good, are you bad. I think what their answer is feels true.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I would just say that it feels a little bloated. And I will say, I can tell you exactly where they should cut some songs out. Is because they have a couple of musical numbers that are sung by alive people in the movie. They just like, there are alive people who are perfectly alive and not in the afterlife. And they're doing a musical number now.
They just like to sing.
They just like to sing. But I'm like, okay, but like you established in the very first scene of the movie, it's the afterlife specifically that's a musical.
Yes.
So these alive people should A, not sing, and then B, you trim out like at least 10 minutes. Like
100%, because it's like, hey, like I'm not against a musical, but if you're, or whatever, not even musical, let's just say if a movie makes rules,
yes,
at least the movie should play by the rules, right?
Like, yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of a lack of consistency there.
Despite how I'm consuming it, how I feel about it, like you're gonna make the rules, play by your own rules. I'll judge you accordingly, but like if you say the only reason that it's a musical is because we're dead and that's what happens, then sure, but yeah, but stick to that. At least you guys.
Yeah. So the movie, and so like overall, I like what the movie was doing. I like where the movie went. I like how the movie resolved itself. It just felt bloated, and that bloat, especially because like I'm not sure if the movie is 2.5 hours long, but it felt like it was about like 2.5 hours long. There is like a moment towards the end where it feels like the movie's over, and then they do a musical number, and you're like, okay, this is the final musical number, and then there's like another scene, and you're like, oh, okay, we're still continuing, and then like they do a musical number, and it's like, oh, but the last scene felt like and like where the plot is.
That's the part of the movie where you go, am I dead? Did I die?
Right. And like that's the movie still resolving the plot in ways that felt appropriately necessary, but I'm like, well, cut out one of these fucking musical numbers. You can't just have like it felt like Lord of the Rings, like the last one where you think, well, you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, so I can't even make this comparison for you.
I to be totally honest, I was about to just humor you and be like, oh, okay.
But in the final Lord of the Rings movie, the good ones, or the Peter Jackson ones. I guess they're all Peter Jackson. The first trilogy, there's like a moment where you think the movie's over, and then like it fades out, and then the next scene fades in, and you're like, oh, okay. And then that scene goes and it fades out, and then it fades into another scene, and you're like, this movie's ending like 8 times. That's kind of the vibe I got with this movie, except instead of like the scene doing like a fade out transition, it's a musical number, and I'm like, cut one of these, man. Like if this movie's gonna go on for another 25 minutes, you gotta like trim some of this fat.
Look, I know you wanna, I'm sure you're really proud of all the songs you wrote and all that, but like, for the sake of the piece.
Because like every musical, and like they really go all out for all the musical numbers. Like there's choreography going on out the wazoo. The sets are doing shit. Things are going on constant. Like the musical numbers don't feel cheap. Which I appreciated also, was that it didn't feel like they were doing musical numbers because they were like, oh, we gotta be like, it felt like they cared about writing a damn musical. I mean, if it honestly felt like they're planning on making adaptations for the stage at some point, maybe.
Oh, I'm sure they will. If this is successful, they 100% will do that.
Yeah. And I didn't hate the music, but there's definitely like, because the musical numbers are so involved, so broad, and so big, They get exhausting after, and especially when you think the movie's about to be over and then it goes on for like another 15 minutes with 3 more musical numbers. I'm like, guys, I'm a little exhausted here. Like, just wrap shit up. Don't have people sing this. Like, wrap it up. Is really what it came down to.
I'm sure it's not honestly the case just with like how things cost, but if they were designing it to be like a stage show eventually, that would explain the length a little more.
Yeah. You want to get your money's worth on when you're at the fucking Broadway theater, you know?
I mean, a Broadway show has like typical length. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to go under that because then people would be like, oh, that was a short one.
There's definitely a moment where they could throw an intermission in, and it would, like, in the Broadway musical version, you'd be like, okay, let's go get some Cracker Jacks or whatever people do at fucking theaters.
Writing a musical has got to be hard because, like, okay, you write a script and then you get an editor and you're like, okay, we cut out a line here or there. But to cut out songs has got to be, like, a gut punch for the people who wrote them. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, I spent months on that song, that one song.
There's actually a moment in the movie where you can tell that they, like, at first it seemed like it was a joke, but then, so, like, there's a moment in the beginning where Will Ferrell is trying to convince somebody of something and he starts a musical number. And then the other guy tells him to stop, and he cuts it off. He's like, "Stop! No, we're not doing a musical number. Do your thing. I don't give a shit." And he leaves. And then Will Ferrell's character goes, "Anyone want to hear my song?" And then they go to the next scene, and you don't hear a musical number. Then I thought that was funny because they start the song and then they just stop it. But then in the credit sequence, they have like they show basically like a whole musical number, like they did that song. And recorded like
so
choreography
that was
and
what
stuff.
an edited one out looks like, probably.
Yeah, I think they legitimately edited a song out. Thank God.
You'd have to. You'd have to write one. Like,
Yeah.
if you write a musical, there's no chance that every song you wrote gets used. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
if you write a good one, you actually care about, like, honing it in. You're not going to be like, wow, everything I wrote was like, God spoke to me and I wrote the best thing ever. I don't have to like get rid of any of this. Don't have to edit any of this. No critiques. It's ready to go. Like, that's not going to happen. So like there's going to be stuff cut out. It's just got to be hard because it's a lot more than like dialogue. Cutting dialogue, it's like, I'm sure sometimes it's like, oh fuck, that was like something that I really appreciated about writing this script, you know, but like,
Yeah.
But musicals just seems like a lot more work when you cut it. It's got to be like more disappointing.
Yeah.
It'd be like, you know, if you're in a show and like that's your performance and then your performance gets cut, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Or like, you know, there's like actors who they're in like a big movie and they're like, this is my shot, and then their scene gets cut.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a
Like,
horrible
that feels
experience for
similar.
them. Yeah. So, you know, they definitely like cut a song out and then they just put that shit in the credits to be like, hey, we made this. We choreographed people fucking dancing on fountains. Here's the fucking song we had to cut. We just made it. We turned it into a joke. Here you go. This song's a joke
kind of
now.
appreciate that where it's like, hey, we put all this work into it. At least you can still see it.
Yeah, I respect that.
Instead of it just being like dissolved into the ether, let's at least put it somewhere where people can witness our work.
Yeah, I respect them both for cutting the song and then for still putting it in the movie in some fashion.
Sure.
Like, I respect the hell out of that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and it's not like a squeaky clean movie either. It's not like they're saying like fucking shit, but they do like, they swear in it, and like there's some sex in it. Nothing like,
Whoa.
you know, but like it's not like a movie where they're trying to be squeaky clean because it's a Christmas movie, which I also appreciate. Like again, it just felt like they were being more. It felt like it was more real and like honest than, and I'm surprised by this. Felt more real and honest than a lot of fucking shit that I've seen that's either a musical or related to Christmas. And I appreciate that. I think a lot of people will end up enjoying it. Especially if they like musicals and they like that form of music.
I like musicals. I might check it out. Honestly, like, funny enough, I wasn't really planning on watching it, and then you told me it was a musical, and now I'm a little bit more interested. I don't know.
There you
Maybe
go.
it's partially too like, I like Ryan Reynolds, I like Will Ferrell, and seeing them in a musical sounds fun.
I mean, Will
But I
Ferrell
like musicals, so that's also a thing, you know.
Yeah. I love the concept of musicals. Like, I just really, the application
Yeah.
it leaves a lot to be desired for me, because I'm looking for something new, and not every music. And in the case of this movie, again, I thought some of the songs were great. I enjoyed some of the music. I enjoyed the choreography a lot of the time too. I enjoyed the humor, but you know, if you're gonna be a musical, like if I hear these songs and I'm like, yo, this song sounds like the same genre as like X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna be a little, you know,
fair.
little.
You have your
cold.
taste, and that's warranted.
It's not even that like
your brother hated it. What did they hate about it? Just the fact that it's musical, or just
Dad hates musicals. Dad fucking hates a musical.
That's totally fine. You don't have to. You know, I'm all for people who like don't like a genre.
I'm not gonna yuck his yuck.
I like that.
Yeah.
But what is that? Why Zach hated it too? Or
I don't know. He's in the chat. He can let us know. I think he was definitely exhausted. He was definitely exhausted by the end of it. I know that much.
Fair. Anyways,
but yeah, I liked it.
Might check it out.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna recommend it to people. I'm gonna say go watch it. I think the way they handled the theme, like I'm most impressed by it thematically, which is rare. Like the fact that it was saying something, and that what I thought they were saying was A, the right message, and B, that they handled it in a pretty decent way. Like even the last 5 minutes, they come back to that idea of, are you permanently good? You know, it's a choice, and it's a very funny moment, I thought. And I wish I could say what it was, because I would be more specific, but it was a funny moment where they sort of like harken back to that theme of, are you good permanently after the ghosts do this shit for you, or is it a choice that you make every day? And so they do that, and it was a very funny moment, but I was also like, this is realistic though. Like a character basically, not saying which character, a character is quote unquote good, but they have a freak out, and then they're like, nope, I said I wouldn't do this anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's real. Like, you can be a good person, but you can have like moments a week, you can freak out still, and like that doesn't make you a bad person.
Nobody changes overnight either, you know?
Yeah, so, nobody changes overnight.
Even if a ghost traumatizes you in your sleep, like you're still gonna like go back to what you're used to, and you have to push back against it. So
I enjoyed, and it's also funny, I saw this in the comments of like, there's this one channel, he's like a book review channel, but he also does like mini skits, and he's also got a second channel where he and his wife just review movies. And so after I watched this movie, I went and I saw what they had to say about the movie, because I respect their opinions on stuff.
For sure.
And somebody in the comments, and they accurately said, like, this is like the first Christmas movie about cancel culture. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right.
Oh, really?
There's a little bit of that, and it's like one of the more, it's not like strictly like, it handles cancel culture in a way where it's not like saying like, hey, if you call out shitty behavior, like that's annoying or whatever, but it also was sort of discussing about the mob mentality that the internet encourages. And it did have something to say about that without, and it didn't say it in a way where I thought they went, there's like one moment where it could go over the top, but also like shit like what happens in the movie happens. So as much as I want to say like, this is a little bit going too far, I'm like, no, but sometimes. So like the way they handled it, I thought was solid.
So I think, so what I'm hearing, I mean, your review of it makes me want to watch it, honestly, because I think with a Christmas movie, sometimes people get in their own way trying to make something that's going to be a classic instead of just trying to make a good movie.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're doing some like original things, and they're like making it modern, and they're like breaking some of the tropes. I think that's a good sign. That makes me more interested to watch it. I honestly wasn't going to watch it, then your review. even you being like lukewarm about it, I'm like, I might go see that. I might go watch that.
Yeah, I'd honestly, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. If it wasn't so bloated, I would have probably knocked it up to like an 8, which is a good score. I did really like what the movie was doing. It's just so bloated is the thing. It's like they should have cut 3 or 4 musical numbers, maybe 2 or 3. They could have trimmed that size down by like 15 to 20 minutes, and then it wouldn't quite overstay its welcome. But even when it's overstaying its welcome, what it's still saying is solid. And I'm most of all just surprised by how humanly they handled what it's trying to say, and I really appreciate that.
All right, interesting.
Yeah,
I'll check that out. Bellboy Rocket says reindeer has chicken feet on the head. There you go. That's for you. Let that make you feel bad about your drawing. I think
yeah,
it's good.
I'm trying to make badass Rudolph because you're making like sort of fighting game Santa. You know, it was like Santa if he was in Street Fighter.
I don't know what it says about me, but I like to draw just like weird, like
beat up versions of popular characters.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just take a popular, like everybody loves him character and then just make him look like beat up and rough, and
yeah,
you take a better variation.
Take Ebenezer Scrooge, put a cigarette in his mouth, and give him some knuckle dusters. You're up my alley.
Oh, whoa, that's a great idea for a comic. The guy has to fight ghosts. And at the end, he's still just a terrible boss.
Right. He's still a piece of shit. That's another thing is in the movie, like Ryan Reynolds is being Christmas caroled, but he is so resistant to it because he's seen the movies, he's read the book, and like he's like, oh, you guys Scrooging me, right? Are you guys doing Scrooged? And Will Ferrell's like, oh yes, the Bill Murray movie. And he's like, he's just completely against being changed, and that's also a dynamic that's at play that works again really well with everything, and again works well with the themes. And then give him ears. You're right, he is missing ears. You weren't being mean. I don't give a shit if you call his antlers chicken feet. I don't know how the fuck to draw antlers on a damn reindeer. So as I was drawing it, I'm like, these are some chicken feet right here.
So they don't normally go like that, but the fact that you're making badass Rudolph makes it feel more cool that they're like claws. That's
what I was going hands. For, yeah. Like dangerous antlers. Bellboy Rocket also
this reindeer.
Don't. Hey, his nose may be guiding that sleigh tonight, but he is guiding the slayings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bellboy Rocket also says, I think bloat is worth more than knocking 0.5 off the rating, which is fair. I think it matters to the degree of bloat. I think there's some where it's so bloated that it's just like, come the fuck on. This movie felt like I was more engaged with it than I think Zach and my dad were. I enjoyed
Rocket
it.
Watch it with you guys?
No. She did not. But I think it's the degree of bloat. Like if it's overstaying its welcome by like an hour, like holy fuck, I'm gonna knock some points off of it. But I feel like the amount of bloat in the movie, especially when compared to the things I liked about it, knocks about like half a point off of it, something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I'd recommend watching it. I think you might have a good time with it. If you don't, I understand.
Rocket says, sorry, I have no idea what movie we're even talking about. It's the Spirited. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Spirited is the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds Christmas movie.
But like based on the whole like Scrooge story. Yeah. What's that called? Christmas Carol?
Christmas Carol, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I really thought that I'm
surprised by how much you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Not that I knew anything about it. I just was. I mean, like I said, I wasn't gonna watch it. I
don't blame you.
Up my alley.
I watched it because I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I love Elf. I think Elf's a Christmas classic. I actually.
For sure. I love Elf.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like some years from now, this movie is one of those movies that people like to put on every year for Christmas. I think you'd have to be a very musical like you have to be a lot of Disney kids in the family, maybe a lot of Disney adults, if you're gonna put it on every year. But
I don't know. I watch like I think I watch
M.M. Otter's Drug Band every year.
What's I gonna say? What's it called? I watch Over the Garden Wall every like Halloween, and that's a musical.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. It's barely a musical.
I mean, just because they don't sing every word doesn't make it not a musical. It's definitely a musical.
Like, would
There's
you
a song
call
every episode?
There is a song every episode. Is there a song? Is there a song in the first episode?
I think so.
I feel like there's a song like I feel like the songs come on when I guess when they're at the pumpkin festival and like when the bad guy who likes to sing music comes in, but I don't remember much music beyond that. But I also haven't seen Over the Garden Wall as much as you have, so I can't say for certain.
It's great. It's great. The art's beautiful, the music's beautiful, the voice acting's good, and the story's great. I love it.
Over the Garden Wall is great. It's definitely a lot of people consider Over the Garden Wall. I know a lot of people who watch that multiple times, and I think it's worth it. I think it's good. I would not be surprised if this new Will Ferrell Ryan Reynolds movie is one that people put on perhaps every other Christmas, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it has the right emotional notes enough where I'm like, yeah, I'm glad this movie exists.
Well, I mean, that's a good enough reason for me to check it out.
Yeah, you might not like it. I'm just gonna let you. I mean, it's got to be to your taste. But
I'm okay. So I'm as somebody like you who's always like nervous to recommend things because if they don't like it, then I feel like personally guilty.
Right.
I don't receive recommendations that way. If somebody says, "Hey, you should watch this," and I watch it, I'm not like, I think less of you as a person.
Right.
Like,
yeah. If somebody recommends,
turns out I didn't like it that much, but it doesn't mean you suck. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad because that's how people should take. There are so many fucking people. If you like read the comments to review channels on YouTube, like, oh my god, people like take recommendations or people's reviews as like gospel, which is so fucking weird to me. Like the amount of like commenters who watch like Red Letter Media reviews and are like, this is or not even that, but like there are so many people who like are looking for quote unquote an objective critique of like a song, a movie, a TV show. There's no such thing as like an objective critique. Like there used to be a website called Objective Video Game Reviews because like back when Gamergate was like a whole thing, people were saying like, look, we just want objective, unbiased reviews of video games, okay? That's what we want. So somebody made a website called like Unbiased Reviews where they reviewed video games, and they would just basically like be like, this is a first-person shooter. You see from the main character's perspective. When you press W, you go forward. When you press S, you go back. If you click, you shoot your gun. This is that game. That's the end of the review then, you know? It's like, that's an objective review of something, is just saying what's in it. But like, whether or not something's good or not, that is completely subjective and up to people. Like, no one's gonna like, there's not ever gonna be a one-to-one, this thing is good, this thing is bad. I mean, there's some things that we can say.
Well, if you're watching reviews, then you're interested in people's opinions. Otherwise, what's a review?
Well, that's the thing, is some people watch reviews because some people for some reason don't understand that reviews are opinions. Some people think that reviews 100%. Are they are, but it's not everyone's aware of this for some fucking reason, which is, it absolutely blows my mind when I see that stuff.
They're dummies.
They're dummies, yeah. Have you watched, or I guess you've played High on Life lately. You can tell us about that if you want.
Oh yeah. I haven't talked about that. I've been playing High on Life. It's the new Justin Roiland joint. If you have Games Pass, you can play it there for free.
Yes.
Recommend it. It's fun. I was trying to do tattoos. Somebody says, "What's wrong with Santa's arm?" Is that what you're talking about? The marks?
I can tell it was tattoos. I knew it was a tattoo. That's my objective criticism.
Trying to do tattoos. When I have more, maybe it will look right. Anyways, it's fun. It's, some people are annoyed by the dialogue, but I like that. I'm into the whole, if you're a fan of like Rick and Morty, or like, I mean, if you've seen Justin Roiland shit, you know kind of what you're getting in for.
Yeah, I would say like Justin
missing the nuance that like Dan Harmon brings to like Rick and Morty. Like he like, I think
he brings the heart.
He brings the heart, like human situations, and then Justin Roiland just brings the fucking like just
ooh-wee.
He just talks and talks and talks until you're like, this is no longer funny, and then he talks more, and then you're like, okay, it's funny again because he hasn't stopped talking. Kind of like Ian's way to handle a bit sometimes, where he's like, if a bit doesn't land, I will keep going until the joke now becomes that I'm still going.
Yeah, which is a great. It sometimes that requires a little bit of courage to do that.
It sure does, and I'll give that to you.
But when it works, it works.
Brave man. It does. I mean, you know, I think you're funny.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's a lot of what you're gonna get in the game, and if you're into that kind of thing, I mean, it's probably like one of the games that has like the most dialogue I've ever heard in a game. It just goes and goes. If you're into that, there's plenty. I mean, there's everywhere you are. There's like monitors and TVs that are just playing like bits, and they brought in a bunch of comedians and voice actors and YouTubers and things like that, and animation people, and it's just happening nonstop around you. You can ignore it all and run through the game and play it. The game itself is fun, which I'll get to, but it's around you always, and you can just listen to it. And they actually added in the most recent update ways to like turn down the amount that the dialogue that you hear because people are complaining. But I'm into it. I enjoy it.
I think if you're getting a Justin Roiland product, either be it a TV show, movie, or a game, I think you have to understand that you're getting into somebody kind of just saying shit for a while. Like that's kind of Justin Roiland's whole brand, I would argue.
It is. I agree. So yeah, hopefully people playing it know what they're playing. But I think it's great. So far, I haven't beat it. I mean, the story's like pretty simple, but it's fun. I think the comedy is good. I mean, it fits what I think's funny, anyways, and I kind of like dumb sense of humor, so it's hard to say how that will be for everybody else. But the game plays like a Metroidvania. You're constantly like you're getting new weapons, new abilities. You know, you have the space around you is like, even from early on, there's like things you can't interact with, and later you'll get the gear that lets you interact with it. But it's in 3D, so it's not Metroidvania like a 2D platformer.
What you just did was an unbiased review. That last sentence right there. You explained what the game does without, editorializing.
Wow. That make me sexist or something? I don't know. Does that have something to do with Gamergate in that regard?
I think you're good. I think you're good. Thankfully, no. I think. Whew. What do you think about the game, though?
I like it. I think it's fun. I think it succeeds at what it's trying to do. The gunplay is pretty fun. There's like a variation in enemies. The boss battles are fairly, like, everything feels somewhat easy. Not in a way where it's like not fun, but you could. I'm also not playing on the hardest difficulty, so.
Oh, I see.
That might be a more me problem than a.
Do you get the sense that the game is more about letting you sort of go from all these gags, like one gag to the, like, is it, because I like just how it's like with Trover Saves the Universe or whatever the hell that one game is called, it's less like about the game being like difficult and more about giving you some sort of input until you are moving on to the next like set of gags and things like that. Is that?
It feels a little that way, except for when you get to the gunplay moments. Then it actually feels like it was designed as a like, all right, here's some enemies, deal with them with all the tools we've given you.
And like it's challenging.
It can be. I mean, at times it is, certainly. And then if I'm sure if I was playing on the hardest difficulty, I'd probably appreciate it more. Okay. I might try it again afterwards. But yeah, when you're in a fight, it can be challenging, especially later in the game. And if I would recommend people play it on the hardest difficulty, I think.
Okay.
But in between that, yeah, it's like a track that drives you to the next joke. But then when you get back to the gameplay, you're either platforming, you're doing like a shooting thing with your weapons and your gear, or you're just like taking in the absurd world around you and like listening to jokes and stuff like that. There's a shit ton of dialogue, so if that's something that's gonna like wear you down, maybe avoid it.
Is it like Borderlands 3 where they have a bunch of dialogue, they have a bunch of jokes, and you just can't do anything while like, because my big problem with Borderlands 3 was you'd play a mission and then you'd have to sit there while these characters had a conversation. You have nothing. You're like sitting in a room and these characters are like having an unfunny conversation, and then eventually you're allowed to go shoot more people.
Okay, so that definitely happens, but in my opinion, the difference is that I actually found these conversations funny. So I was like,
that's gonna be a deal breaker for sure.
Like,
if that's
all right, let's go. I mean, like, they got some great voice actors and actresses in it. Joel Haver does a million voices in it. One of your guns is JB Smoove. One of your guns is Tim Robinson. You have 4 guns, and they talk. As long as you have that gun out, it's talking the whole time. So you can switch. If you're like, I don't want to listen to this comedian anymore, you can switch to a different gun. But like, if you have Tim Robinson out, he's talking to you the whole game. That kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And they all have very like distinct personalities. Like Tim Robinson's character is this weird gun who's just like very insecure. He's just like talking the whole time. I don't know. I like it for what it is. It feels like kind of a breath of fresh air because it's doing some unique stuff for a genre that's existed forever.
Right.
I don't know. Personally, it works for me. I'm the target audience, but if you get sick of the dialogue and you get sick of, it's a simple kind of shooter. If that doesn't work for you, then yeah, you're gonna get tired of it.
Okay.
I
think that's fair. Hold on one sec. I have to turn on pressure sensitivity for my big swaths of color brush. But yeah, that's sort of what I expected out of it. Again, because I just know Justin Roiland's brand.
Yeah, and I think some people are like fatigued by that, and I get it.
Yeah, for sure. I
why.
get that. I mean, Rick and Morty has been. It's not like Rick and Morty. If Rick and Morty was maybe less in the cultural zeitgeist, I'm sure a lot of people would be a lot more surprised by the going-ons. But yeah, I think I mean, again, we're the target audience, I think, because we like that shit. We eat it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a lot of meta shit. I don't want to spoil it all. But there's some stuff in there that's just like, it's funny. It's like stuff you haven't seen in the game before because comedians usually aren't creating your game, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So like, there's some just weird shit. I don't know how. I don't know. I probably shouldn't spoil it. So I'll probably just let it go. But there's just like things that are like, why did they do this? Or not why, because I enjoy it. But like, just like, I've never seen something like this in a game before. Games take themselves a lot more seriously. This, like Rick and Morty, like, it's meta sometimes. It breaks the fourth wall occasionally.
Okay.
You know, I fought a boss just recently where he's like, I'm trying to do some Psycho Mantis stuff, but I can't read your hard drive. Hey, did you have like a bunch of hours in Rocket League? Yeah, you probably did. Like, you can't.
That's funny.
Like, they're just making fun of like other video games.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's self-aware in a way that you don't see a lot. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice.
I'm enjoying it. I haven't beat it yet.
And for folks in the chat, we actually have had. I don't know if we've ever had Lee Thompson on the show. He's usually busy being a world traveler. But we have had Shiny Doggy on our show for a couple of episodes, and she has actually done 1 or 2 shorts. Like, because apparently, as you've told me, there's a bunch of TVs playing stuff.
Yes.
In the game, movies that are well known and new original animations and stuff made specifically for the game. Apparently, Shiny Doggy and Lee Thompson and several other folks who I've gotten to know worked for the one studio that got commissions to do some of those stuff. So yeah, Shiny Doggy's who's a friend of the show.
I heard about Shiny Doggy. I didn't hear about Lee Thompson. That's awesome.
Yeah, Lee Thompson has something in there, and somebody else who I've met recently has. I just saw like a post. I just like reshared their story on Instagram, like as my story. They have. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but they have something in that game as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's nice to see people getting that work.
Yeah, for sure. And you can kind of see it like on some of the TVs. Occasionally, there's like stuff playing where I'm like, I recognize that artist. You know.
Right.
I've seen a few animations from like, I don't know some of these people's names. Unfortunately, they deserve more credit. But if you've played Jackbox the last few years, there's always like one game in each pack that has like a very specific.
The Split the Room guy?
Yeah. He has like a little short that I saw in there, and you can just tell it's him because I assume so. Anyways, it looks just like.
Right. You could probably.
Either it's him or somebody who was heavily inspired by him.
Gotcha. That's cool. I like to see that. It's nice that like there are like things like that game that you know, give these different artists opportunities not to just like make something specific. Like, you know, you're getting commissioned to do an animation, but it's not like you're doing somebody else. You get to like make your own idea or something. Or I don't know how it works actually. They may have had like specific commissions for that stuff.
It's cool seeing them like bring an entire like world together, meaning like they grab the whole like animation world and they're like, hey, everybody, we can all work on this big AAA. Like, I don't know if that counts as AAA, but you can all work on this thing that's like, you know, big project that's well known to some degree.
Yeah, and it's nice to see. It's like with Smiling Friends, like how Smiling Friends has the Red Letter Media guy, Mike Saklasa. They have Tom Fulp doing a voice in Smiling Friends, and Mark M of Sick Animation. It's nice to see these folks who I sort of grew up enjoying their creative output, sort of getting to be in these sorts of projects. I enjoy that very much. A lot of those
people are in this game too.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see like these people who were at first just like putting stuff out on the internet because that was the only platform they had, getting to sort of do these more not strictly their YouTube channel sort of content. I like that. I'm glad to see that.
Me too.
You love to see it.
You do. But yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers in it. There's a lot of animators in it. There's a lot of comedians in it. It's great in that way.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we pop culture wise could discuss?
I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Elf again.
I like that movie. I think it holds up well.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It still holds up for sure. I do feel like in a past year where we were doing this show, I have this. Okay, I know for a fact you talked about it, but in a past year we did this show, I watched Elf, and it felt like the music in the movie was different. And I do know that before we were signed up to as many of the streaming services as we are now. I would find versions of Elf called like Buddy's sing-along version or something like that, and I don't know if that's what we ended up watching. Which I don't, because there's no like a bouncing ball over lyrics, and also what would you sing along with? It's not a musical. But I do remember in a previous year, and we recorded an episode, and I talked about it on that episode. We watched Elf, not you and I, but me and other people, perhaps the parents. We watched Elf, and the music was different in it. Like the music felt much more.
Super strange.
Yeah, like the music felt much more generic, sort of like comedy movie stuff, you know, like the plunks of the violin plunks, you know, letting you know that goofiness is happening and things like that.
You sure it was not the original music?
It didn't feel like it, because when I watched the movie again, you know, a few days ago, and I was kind of keeping an eye out for that stuff, because I was just like, and the music felt a lot more specific to Elf instead of being like that generic like royalty free shit. So I don't know like what happened.
The original movie has some like, I don't know. Okay, well if you didn't feel that way on this recent viewing, then
and that's what
that settles it.
That's what's weirding me out about it, is because I remember specifically watching it like a year or two ago, and
are we sure this isn't like that whole Sinbad as
Mandela
a genie Mandela effect? I had some of that in my life. That's my personal, you know, examples of that.
I'm not sure, but I know we've talked about it in a previous. I know there's some previous episode of this show where I'm like, I watched Elf and it was not as good because the music felt more annoying. I feel like I said that at some point.
It's possible.
But I watched it again, and I mean, no, it's a classic, and it deserves to be. It's a great movie. But yeah, I specifically kept an eye out for the music because I just remember that experience, and you know the music was a lot more specific. There's a lot of great music actually in Elf, they play a lot of Christmas classics, a lot of like it's a movie that
yeah, I love the music when it's. I mean, it does like the cartoony like da, 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 da,
yeah,
da. Like
it does.
It's like an old claymation, but then it will also go to like there's like classic songs in it.
Yeah. Because I just remember that last time I was watching it, and it felt like it was so ever present and constant, like the very like, and if you have thematic music going on, where it's like you have like an instrument kind of playing along with the action on screen, like that's not inherently bad, but there's like some of it where it sounds like royalty free thematic music, Sounds like it was done on like a MIDI keyboard or something like that, and like the violins sound like shit. And I feel like the one year that's what I got out of it, and I don't know why. But anyways,
I bet you if you Googled that, there'd be. I mean, if this is a real thing and not you just having like
a brain,
some weird like brain aneurysm, other people have noticed, surely.
I'm sure, but it's also one of those things where it feels so specific, and like I think a lot of the times we notice more than a lot of other, quote unquote normies would in something, because we sort of work in art. Once you start working in art, you sort of lose the ability to watch things uncritically, I feel like. Because as an artist, you become interested in like, what did they do? Why does this work? Why doesn't this work? So it's one of those things where I could see it completely just going past the radar on a lot of people, and if I were to like sort of look into this and try and Google people having the same experience, I'd have to like find some very specific search terms that I wouldn't know what exactly to search. So I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Speaking of saying the word normies though reminded me of something else. We haven't finished it, but we did start watching the new Wednesday Addams TV show.
Oh, okay. How are you liking it so far?
It's definitely the best thing Tim Burton's done in like a while.
Yeah, it feels more inspired than anything he's done in a minute.
Yeah.
I love the casting.
Yeah, me too. I think they did a great. I love Luis Guzman.
I've watched one episode, so I can't say much, but like it feels like very like, I think, what's the original source material for Addams Family? Is it a comic? I think it's a comic.
I couldn't say. I know there's like a 50s TV show, or is that the Munsters?
Sure. No, both.
Okay.
They both had one. I think it's a comic, but famously, I mean, like, until like the movies and stuff, like Gomez was always just like this little like gremlin of a man, and then Morticia was like this
bombshell,
big, like bombshell. So like that was like the fun, and so like I think the fact that Louis, I just the casting is so good.
Yeah,
I like that
absolutely.
They like, aside from like the fact that they cast like all Hispanic characters, like aside from like that's cool they're doing that.
Yeah, I respect that.
Kind of,
although
like,
the mom's Morticia's
she's not, right?
Yeah, she's Welsh, I think.
Fair enough.
But I mean, still, like Gomez.
Thematically, I thought it was cool to just like cast them all that way. Like that's.
No, I agree.
Cool,
I thought that
like intentional move. I like that.
Like I like that Gomez is Luis Guzman. The daughter is played by somebody who's Hispanic, which I think is. I mean, at least those two characters. It makes sense to have the daughter be somebody of Hispanic descent, and somebody named Gomez. I think that's a Hispanic name, but having him be Luis Guzman makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's very well cast. I think the casting is smart and
then
a good
Fred
choice.
Armisen is.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot.
I haven't gotten to that episode yet, but no, he's gonna be Fester. He's in it, but I haven't watched that part yet.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, so I can't speak.
I've only seen the first one. I just know that got announced, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Casting, and I saw a picture of it. And he looks good. That's good.
I think it's cool that the original Wednesday Addams is one of the teachers. She does a great job in that too. It's a nice little. It's like it was subtle enough where I wasn't like, oh, here they are. Like, oh, it's like a lot of movies will be like, check it out, it's the old Wednesday, and you're like, oh my fucking god. And this one, it's very subtle. She's just a character in the show, and she's great in it, and it's clear that they cast her in that role not only because she's the original Wednesday, but that she also did a damn good job in her audition.
They weren't doing her a favor. She was just she's a good actress. Exactly. That's Christina Ricci, and when we first started it, I was like, oh man, like I'm interested to watch this, but I love those original movies. And Morgan was like, I haven't seen them, and I'm like, what?
Oh.
Especially the second one is great. So I was like, oh, we gotta watch them. And then when she walked on stage or on the screen, I was like, well, that's fun, but you don't. I had to explain to her why.
Which is good. I would prefer it that way, you know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're not swayed by it, but
well, it's also just like again, it's not in your face. Like, it's the original Wednesday. You have to explain it to somebody who isn't in the know.
Right.
That's the original Wednesday, and you're like, oh.
But I thought it was fun that she was there.
Yeah, I'm enjoying my time with it. I've only watched the first 2. I think I might have watched 3 episodes. We've watched 2 or 3. It's weird because it feels like goth Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's the best. That's a great script. Is that original? Did you think
I mean, I haven't really read what anyone else thinks about it. So if somebody else has said it,
sometimes when I'm watching something, I'll hop on like Reddit and see what other people are saying. Not to steal it, but just that's what I was asking.
Yeah, sometimes other people put into words what you've had in your head, you know, and that's fine. Yeah, it feels like goth Harry Potter because they go to like a fucking like academy for like werewolves and sirens and shit. And I actually don't like, everyone's always talking about the normies and like the freaks or whatever they call the non-normies, and in the show normies are us, people who aren't monsters, you know, or like werewolves or some shit. And I'm like, what isn't Wednesday a normie? Like, she's smart, she's very intelligent, and she's got a family of like weird people and like a living
family
hand.
Are like murderers and shit.
Yeah,
and
but
they
like
have Frankenstein.
Yeah, and they have a living hand that like is also surprise. Okay, anyways, Wednesday's a normie, and I don't understand. Maybe she'll reveal later that she's got like witch powers. I don't fucking know. But what I'm really impressed by is how Thing, or is it? What's the hand's name? Cousin Thing. Uh-oh. I think we lost Brandon again. We lost Brandon again. I'm just gonna finish my point and then we'll just close the show out. But the hand, I'm pretty sure it's Cousin It. No, Cousin It's the hair. Cousin Thing. The fucking hand. I don't remember, man. There's a hand. There's a detached hand. Anyway, they gave it a lot of personality, even though it has no mouth and it must scream. It's just a hand, but the hand has a lot of personality to it, which I think is really cool and well done. I enjoyed that. I'm enjoying Wednesday. If you guys like the Addams Family or are just curious what Tim Burton's been up to, or you just want to watch a good, I think it's like 10 episodes. Thing is the hand. Brandon just sent me a text. Thing is the hand. Cousin It is the hair. Okay. Thank you, Brandon, from the Beyond the Ether. But yeah, I like how they gave the hand so much personality, and it's really well done. Yeah, go watch Wednesday if what we've described. If you want to watch goth Harry Potter, go watch Wednesday. You'll like it. Go watch the other things we talked about too, or play the other things. And on that note, folks, Brandon's gone. We've finished the picture. I drew a little angry elf on the side. We hope you all enjoyed. We hope you all have a great Christmas / holiday season, whichever you celebrate, you know, do your thing. We don't yuck your yums. We don't yuck your yucks. Unless your yuck is like something hateful. Point is, have a good one. Thank you all for being here. Thanks everyone for supporting us. Leviathan Den, Dr. Soundcheck, Belbo Rocket. Oops, I think I just pinned somebody's comment by accident. Oops. Goodbye. I'm gonna get distracted if I just keep trying to sign off, but goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, this is the actual... Oh, if I have anything to plug, DrawBomb is recorded live. If I have anything to plug, no, I don't. I plug you. Go be your best self, do something, make something in the new year. make good choices, and have a good one. And yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it. Sorry that Brandon couldn't be here for the rest of it, so I'm just sort of blathering like a weirdo. But everyone have a good one. Okay, bye bye. Bye now. It's the merry times of the holidays and the New Year's. We won't see you for a while. Oh yeah, real quick, we're not gonna see you for a little bit because I'm gonna be out of town. I mean, it's the holidays. Like, I'm gonna be out of state. You're gonna be out of state. No one's gonna be where they're supposed to be probably. So goodbye. For real now. We're gonna go goodbye now, but for real. Bye bye. Goodbye. Thank you all. Bye bye. Goodbye.